BeastNet is brought to you by James Safety Services in partnership with OCR Buddy and OCR Strong. Here we discuss all things OCR and fitness related. Welcome to BeastNet.
Hey everybody, Mike with BeastNet here, and on this episode I got with me Brittany. Brittany, let everyone know who you are.
My name is Brittany West. I am known in the OCR community also as Warrior Hobbit or War Paint Chick. And to some North Carolinians, I don't get it. The Dragon Lady, I don't really know where that came from, but it became a thing last year. So there was that.
Right on. Well, so let us know a little bit about your journey. I know you do race with More Heart Than Scars, and we love More Heart Than Scars. Like I've told a few people, I have a More Hearts Than Scars jersey. I wear it when I race. I wear the BeastNet or the More Heart Than Scars, and even our BeastNet has the More Heart Than Scars logo on it. And I get so many comments about it, but I have not been fortunate enough to race with More Heart Than Scars because I spend most of my time on the West Coast.
I gotcha. Well, hopefully we'll get our way, or some of us will get out to the West Coast. You know, it might not be the whole team, but sometimes all you need is one.
Yeah. So
sometimes I like to think of that.
We've been hoping to get a few because we have a few, adaptive athletes over here. We have Casey and those guys that I think would be fun to. And I hang out with Casey and seen him a few times out here. I don't know if you've ever seen Casey. No legs.
Okay, for a sec, because I was thinking of one like Brian. No, I haven't. I might have seen him in photos.
Probably, he's mainly on this side. He lives in Oregon, and he's done I've met him a couple times. In fact, he was one of the first adaptive athletes I met, and it was so funny. I always tell everyone the story that I was doing a Spartan when I was bigger before I lost the weight, and I wanted to quit. I'm like, I'm done. And then I came around the corner, and there's Casey with no legs, just bloop, 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 going.
And that's all you need.
And I'm like, well, okay, I guess if he's not going to use an excuse, I guess I can. Well,
exactly.
So he's a huge inspiration. That's what I love about the adaptive athletes is they don't let, something like that stop them. They're like, yep, an obstacle got thrown in my way and I'm going to keep going anyway,
Exactly.
That's what's amazing. So my obstacle was my weight. And luckily I dropped a bunch of that. I've gained some back, but most of it hopefully in muscle, but some of it need to make fix that problem. But
it's work. It's always hard. I go back and forth too. I actually want to get out to Washington. It's up by Oregon. There's a Spartan race weekend is on my huge dream list, and I think it's a trifecta weekend. It starts with the S, Tacoma. I don't know.
Snohomish.
Oh, what a it's on the list. It's actually on my 2024 list because 2024 I'm actually trifecta chasing 13 trifectas. So it is on
this year just to test it, because this will actually probably, some people know, most of the listeners know this will, if everything goes the way that, my wife really wants. And I do too. We won't be in Washington by this time.
Okay.
So we went out. I'm not too sad about it. We went out. So her hope is Texas. So if we end up there, then
I have a Marine brother in Texas. Yeah. Well, it's my husband's Marine brother, but brother-in-law, Marine.
Brother-in-law. Yeah.
I actually raced my first solo Spartan Beast last year in Texas, True Grit Ranch. Unless you're running for time or you're doing the ultra, I don't recommend True Grit Ranch. Sorry, Spartan, I love you, but no.
Oh, what was so wrong about True Grit Ranch?
Like 5-7 miles of nothing.
Yes, I know. I did the ultra there. So and
so you were there.
Yes, I was there. I did the ultra.
And it was boring.
It was.
Let's talk about those water stations.
What water stations?
Exactly. There was no stinger gummies, and then we had pickle juice half a mile from the finish line.
Yeah, that was the weirdest spot for. I'm like, really? You get pickle juice, and for me doing the ultra, I'm like, okay, I got the pickle juice halfway through, but then I'm like, when I ran across it again, I'm like, I'm about to finish. Why do I need it? I drank it.
I needed it.
It's pickle juice. We all love pickle juice, but it was just one of those. It's like, why wouldn't this have been way earlier?
Yeah, we might be jumping ahead of my story, but when I did the Beast in True Grit Ranch, I was very much out of my element. I'm native to humidity. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, so humidity. That was my breast milk growing up. Basically, was humidity. So when people go, "Oh, North Carolina, Fayetteville, so humid," I'm like, "What? No, it's not. Humidity to me is 120 degrees. With pure humidity." So going into True Grit Ranch, it's just dry heat.
Mhm.
And I left my pickle juice shots at his brother's house, my PB&J. I left everything. So I was cramping. I ain't never cramped on course. And I was cramping so fast. And Helix actually is one of my favorite obstacles because it's all upper body. And I'll have fun. I'll even dance on it. And bam, I felt like twice on Helix because
Wow.
I was just cramping. It was like the worst race ever.
It was very interesting because when I did it, it was my first ultra, and it was fine, but it was one of those. I had a broken rib before I even started.
Why
So
didn't you find us? We would help. I mean, it might not be on the ultra, but we would like, you got this.
So I went for it with the broken rib anyway, but I finished it. But it was one of those that, it was very flat, very dry. But the ultra, we had a lot of hills because there's that 5 mile loop that we got to do that nobody else did. That was
I saw that.
crazy hills.
Yes. I saw that as on the beast, we were coming up on this hill and I'm like, no. I'm cramping. So I busted open a salt pack for emergencies. I'm like, and then we walked right past it. I'm like, sucks to be an ultra person right now.
That was our ultra. So, and it was fine. I mean, it was definitely interesting. It was an interesting one to do. I mean, I'm thinking about doing it this year, but who knows? Well, because I just literally, like, right before we started filming this, I had a friend who dropped a trailer off at my house because I had the yard for it. And she wants to go to Hawaii, which I am. And
I want to.
I was going to do the trifecta weekend, which I've done a couple times now. And she's like, I want to do the ultra in Hawaii. And I'm like, that's stupid. And she's like, well, if I do it, you're doing it with me. And I'm like, you suck.
Actually, that's actually happening to a teammate from More Hearts and Scars with me and him next year, Fayetteville Ultra Trifecta weekend.
Like next weekend, no. Dawn's doing it, I think, next weekend or the weekend after. He's insane.
Yeah. I was going to do Ultra Trifecta, and this will go into, we start with the journey to celebrate my 5-year gastric bypass anniversary. But Joey's like, I need help on the team. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do Ultra Trifecta, my first one to celebrate. Well, you know what, Joey, y'all are the whole reason I've been so successful. I got you. And I'll just do Ultra another time. I got you. And we went back and forth, and he was like, no, Brittany, I don't want you to give up your dream. And I'm like, no. It's okay. I got this, and I actually wasn't ready. I'm not ready yet. I got injured, which is why I'm in bed. I got injured really bad. Well, bad for me at the 15K Tough Mudder last weekend. So I'm like, yep, nope, not ready.
Tough Mudder does it, dude, because that's where I broke my rib.
I don't like Tough Mudder. Love you, but no, I'm not a Tough Mudder fan.
I broke my rib at Tough Mudder, and it was one of the stupidest ones too. It was on Olympus or the freaking Mount Everest. That's what
that was the seesaw.
No, that's one where you run up the wall and jump, grab, stop, pull yourself up and over. But usually everyone grabs each other and yanks.
Yeah.
Them. I actually did it grabbing someone. I turned around to grab someone that was a little bit bigger, and when I grabbed him, my rib, I wasn't in the right position, and my rib was sitting on the shelf. So when I put all their weight, it just put all the weight right on my rib, and just all of a sudden was like pop, and I'm like, oh god.
See, I did mine on this seesaw thing.
Yeah, that's where I did my calf, or
I did.
Yeah,
mine's my lower back. I went to the doctor today. I mean, it's fine for the most part, but it's more comfortable in bed. Like, it barely hurts, but if I'm sitting in a chair or against a wall or something too long, it starts like I don't feel good, and I'm like, I gotta move. No. But I should be good because I'm actually racing Saturday with More Heart.
Oh yeah, you got to help them out. So it's one of those things that, I mean, I love doing stuff with them. And I mean, like I said, I would love to get out there because I've always been about, that's one thing me and Don, when we started doing BeastNet, was part of the one of the things we always talked about was helping people. I've had so many times where I've been on a race and I had a goal of to hit this, and then I saw someone who needed help, and I'm like, well, that goal's gone because I'm helping this person, and
exactly.
I'd much rather, I get more out of that than, I know and I'm not in a bad way. I know I'm never going to podium. That's just, so, I mean, it's not like I'm throwing away a podium to help anyone or anything. And I would throw it away a podium to help someone anyway. But
exactly. That's what we're about.
It's all about helping people.
And I mean, it goes back to my Ultra Trifecta. It's like, I really, I decided actually like November of last year to do it for my 5-year anniversary. And then Joey was like, I needed my help. He needed help. And I'm just like, I would honestly rather celebrate my 5-year anniversary with my team. And I'm going to need them this year anyways, because it's the 5-year, which we'll get into why that's important. And I'm just like, and then when I did the 15K, I'm like, I'm not ready. Various medical reasons that play a part in the journey of this podcast that I'm not ready. So I'm like, November Mill Springs. I'm gonna do my ultra and my sprint, and then Dal, my dwarf buddy with more heart, I have roped him into ultra trifecta with me next year, and he's gonna hate me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I might be, depending. We're gonna see how things. She's supposed to tell me by this weekend if she's gonna do it. But if she does the ultra in Hawaii, I'll be doing an ultra trifecta in Hawaii. So.
Oh, go for it. I want to go to Hawaii this year, but it's just like my bank account said no, go back to work.
I get like my wife is like the travel like guru. She finds ways. Basically, she's pretty much the only thing don't think she's got so far. She has not got our flights home yet. She always buys those last with the hope that we don't need them, but we always need them, unfortunately. But I think she told me it's gonna be like $1,500 for the two of us for a week.
Right, too bad. That's about what I think I was thinking for me and my husband. But then my son's like, Mom, you go to Hawaii, I'm going. And I'm like, you never go to race weekend stuff. He's like, you go to Hawaii, I'm going. I'm like, but I'm gonna be racing. You go to Hawaii, I'm going. I'm like, all right, fine. If I get to Hawaii, you'll go. But when it comes to Sparta, Greece, I'll leave my husband behind. I don't care. I'm going.
I've been thinking about that one too. Yeah, it's one of those. Me and my wife have had an agreement for years. It was pretty much because she doesn't race.
Yeah.
So our agreement is that if I get to travel for races, she gets vacations. So that's why I pick certain ones. Don always asks me, why do you always do? Because it has to coincide with somewhere that my wife wants to go for vacation.
Exactly.
So, and that's why Hawaii. That's how she talked me into it the first time. The first time I did Hawaii in like 2016. She's like, do you want to go to Hawaii for a week? And I'm like, maybe. I wasn't hugely excited. And then she's like, it's our 15-year wedding anniversary. And I'm like, And she's like, there's a Spartan that weekend. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yeah, but I did tell my husband, I was like, I don't think I could really. I mean, I'll joke, I'll go without you. And I probably would. I mean, I know me, I would if I had to, but it wouldn't be right without him.
No.
Like I hope my hands is actually right here, but it's like I wouldn't be right without him. And it would break my heart to leave him behind for Greece. So the goal is 2024. That's why I'm trifecta chasing 13.
Nice. That'll be fun. That'll be a good one. So, I mean, and it's one of those things, not to sound bad, we're not getting any younger, so we got to do it soon. No,
Yeah, but when you're an assistant preschool teacher and you got 3 kids, it takes time.
My youngest turned 20 yesterday. So
what's that like? Mine's 16.
It's good. It's nice. It's really nice. Yeah, it's one of those. I had kids. Everyone always tells me I had kids way too early, and I'm like, probably, but I'm 44 and my youngest is 20.
You see, I'm 37 and my son is 16. So young, and
you're in the same boat.
Yep, pretty much. And then
so we should probably get into the kitties are that way. My cat, I have to lock him out, or he's like in my lap and climbing and doing the same thing. So.
It doesn't help that I named him Spartan. Never name a cat Spartan.
My cat's named Reuben.
Does he act nice?
No, he acts like Reuben from the Lilo and Stitch.
Oh.
That's where the name comes from. Our other cat's Stitch. And then our dog is Leroy from Leroy and Stitch. And then Reuben, if you watch the TV show, Reuben was Experiment 625.
Okay.
That was his name. So that's why we named that the cat ended up being Reuben. So.
Is it bad that when you said Leroy, I thought Leroy Jenkins from World of Warcraft?
That's what I do all the time. I yell it. Whenever I yell anything with the cat, I'm like, Leroy. My wife's like, I don't get it. My kid's like, that's awesome.
All right.
So we should probably talk about your journey. I mean, that's,
yes.
I'll get off on side topics all day, and then Don whines and I spend way too much time doing that.
So my journey. So since you follow me on Facebook, so have you seen like the pictures were all posted from like 8 years ago or 6 years ago? Have you seen any of those?
I haven't seen any of those, but I'm guessing. I mean, I think Don sent me one, but it was that you were a little bigger than you are now.
He's biting me. Yes. So for 95% of my life, I was obese. I mean, it started as a young teenager, hit puberty. I was on ADHD medication, which my gastric bypass doctor said most of his patients in my age were about 37, all had the same issue. They were on Ritalin. So my highest weight that I know of is about 280. Day of surgery, I was 220. When I started the process, I was 260. I started the process in October of 2000. my anniversary date, 5/8/17. There you go. So October 2016 is when I decided this is going down. And that was at one of my biggest was 260.
Mhm.
And then, so I had gastric bypass. Now with gastric bypass, I hear a lot of people go, "Oh, I had gastric bypass." And I'm like, "Cool, what'd you have done?" And they're like, "Sleeve." And I'm like, "That's so different." Now, don't get me wrong. I have support and nothing but love for my gastric sleevers. I run a support group, but there is, and it is important to me, there is a difference between Roux-en-Y, which is what I did, gastric sleeve. Then you also have vertical sleeve. It's what I wanted, but insurance said no. So I had Roux-en-Y. And the reason that's important to me is because I want to spread awareness on bariatric athletes, which Roux-en-Y athletes, I'm going to tell you, I have done 33 races. I'm still a baby. And I've met 0 Roux-en-Y on course. However, I've met like 40, 50 sleevers, and that makes me happy. That truly does. It makes me beyond happy because sleevers, they have their own issues they're going to face on course. And I love seeing them out there. I love seeing them doing their thing. When I met quite a few at West Virginia, one lady's like, "How do you feel what you're doing?" And, we talked about how different our surgeries were and everything. And I gave her the advice Joey McGlamory gave me. And, I hope she went on to do well from there. But I would love to see Roux-en-Y on course. Roux-en-Y, the difference is our stomachs, they're smaller, much smaller than a sleeve, but not too much, but it's just a sleeve. They fit a sleeve over your stomach.
Mhm.
Roux-en-Y, they cut everything out. It's gone. My intestines are not where your intestines are, and I'm missing most of them. My stomach is not quite where your stomach is, and I'm missing like most of it. But with the sleeve, they can absorb nutrients way better. With Roux-en-Y, we cannot. And so it's a different ball game. So that's why I like to separate the two, because maybe somebody who's had Roux-en-Y is out there and they've done a Spartan and they'll go, "Brittany, I've done one." And I'll go, "Yes, let's do one together." That would be the dream, to do more Spartan races with Roux-en-Y so we can help each other on course. So I had the Roux-en-Y May 8th, 2017. And the biggest thing for my journey is, before I had Roux-en-Y, I had handicap on my license plate.
Mhm.
I could not walk. I had degenerative osteoarthritis in both knees. I still do. It's just a lot better now. I did do another podcast where I talked about this. It was a bariatric podcast. I remember right before surgery, I was grocery shopping through Walmart, and it was such a struggle to walk. And I look at the motorized cart and I'm like, yeah, I could get in that, or I could just kind of push my weight on this cart, and that would be my cardio. Like, I'm not getting in that cart. I'm 32 years old. I will walk this gas station, and that will just have to be my cardio for the day. So I'd get on my groceries. I get home, and I live on the 3rd floor apartment, and I'm like, my life. And I get everything upstairs, and I get everything unloaded. And then that night, husband come home from work, and then all of a sudden, and I'm in bed, and all of a sudden I gotta go to the bathroom, and I would get up, go out to the bathroom, and I fall and can't walk because I grocery shopped for an hour. So my husband, the best of his ability, he'd pick me up and walk me to the bathroom, sit me on the toilet, leave the bathroom, tell him I'm done, and he would get me up and walk me to bed. That was a big breaking point. And the biggest was October 2016, when I could not go door to door trick or treating with my son. My husband took him, and I'm sitting outside the curb. And the irony, the curb that I was sitting outside of the day I decided to have the surgery is now in my front yard.
Oh.
And the irony is, I just looked out there, and I'm like, holy crap, that was the curb I sat on. And I was sitting on the curb, and I'm watching my husband take my son door to door, and I'm crying, and I'm like, I'm fat, I'm overweight. I bet all these people are judging this fat chick sitting on the curb. She can't walk. My husband comes over, my son's eating his candy, and me and my husband are talking. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I've tried diets, done this, done that. I was like, but I've been hearing about gastric bypass. And I was like, and I'm pretty sure it might be the easy way out, because at the time I didn't know any better. And I was like, but I don't care anymore. Do it. So a week later, I'm in my doctor's office, and by November, I'm at a seminar. And then by January, it's rolling. It's appointment after appointment after appointment. And then 5 months later, I'm laying on the table getting everything ripped out of my stomach, which I actually woke up during that surgery. That's when we learned I'm special. I have to have the good be put under.
It's not the time you want to find that out, though.
So, but prior to the surgery date of May 8th, I've always been obsessed with Spartan history. My son kind of takes after me. He's World War II. I'm Spartan ever since a teenager, and I read the book Howard of Troy. And so in April, I'm getting ready for surgery. I'm, doing a little cardio thingy I have to do. I'm doing the horrible liver shrinking diet, and I'm looking up, Spartan history to keep me entertained while I'm on this treadmill and I'm dying. And then I see, do you want to be a Spartan? Join Spartan OCR. And I'm like, that. And I click on it, and I'm like, oh, this must happen. And that became the goal. Right before I had gastric bypass was I had to do a Spartan race. And so I had my bypass, and I tell my doctor, this is the goal. And he's like, okay, you can start working out in 2 weeks. You can do this, you can do that. So I started doing it, and I started training. 2017, I waited 2 weeks to start training. I told my husband, this is going to happen. Help me train, because he's a Marine veteran. Like, if anybody could train, help me, run me into the ground. And so he did. And I went and climbed my first mountain, which is actually important, in July. 2.5 months later, I went to Pilot Mountain, North Carolina, and I hiked my first mountain, pain-free from my knees. No limping, no it hurts, no this, no nothing. Walked up, walked down, got myself to the bathroom that night, no problems. I was on cloud 9. So then, we started training for it. And then we go into, I was going to do my first race November 2018. And that didn't happen because I got walking pneumonia, and I was down from beginning of June till basically end of November. Wow. And a lot of played into being gastric bypass. It takes me longer to heal and everything. And I lost a lot of weight. Wasn't healthy. And during this, I'm lifting weights and powerlifting and doing everything I'm supposed to do. And then all of a sudden I'm in bed. And I was a 5 to 6 day a week gym person at this point, 2 hours a day. And so, okay, well, that sucked. That setback. We'll go into 2019, and during this, I'm dealing with other things from gastric bypass, and I'm still, training. And it's the skin. And that's a problem that all ruin. I don't care if you're Roux-en-Y, you're vertical sleeve, you're a sleeve, or you're a Dundell switch. You're going to deal with the skin, depending on how big you were, especially. Now, I worried to start lifting weights was to avoid skin on my arms. I got lucky. I was able to do that, but not my stomach. So then I go into January 3rd, I had 14 pounds of excess skin removed off my stomach. I had a lot of back pain because of it. Mm-hmm. All right. So I tell my plastic surgeon, November 2019, I'm racing Mill Springs. I'm doing my first race. I'm going to do a Spartan sprint. And she goes, you will be able to. And I'm like, great. No, that didn't happen. 6 months later, I ripped my abdominal wall. We think. We don't really know what happened. But then I'm back in bed. No Spartan race. And I was heartbroken. And I almost gave up going for Spartan races at that point, as I was dealing with a lot of malnutrition. No trainer. And I did have one powerlifting trainer. Her name is Sally Nightbong, my bestest friend in the world. And she's a pro trainer or pro bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. And she took me under her wing, and she's like, I can help you build this muscle. I can help you perform. And she did. Like, she rode me into the ground. The girls, why I got muscles. But I don't know how you're supposed to eat for this. And I'm passing out sometimes. I'm throwing up at the gym. I'm fainting. I'm not feeling good. There were nights where I would start sweating and shaking, and I would try to tell my husband I need something from the kitchen, and I would try to go get it, and I'm collapsing. And we're like, why am I collapsing? And so I would research, oh, you need carbs. Oh, well, I didn't know that, because in gastric bypass, they tell you all carbs are bad. At least mine did. Everything was bad. No matter if it's sweet potatoes or brown rice, to them it was the same as white rice and a bag of chips. It was bad. You don't eat it. So they were telling me to keep my carbs at like 20 carbs a day and 100 grams of protein. And here I am doing, lap pull downs at 50 pounds, and I'm doing 4 sets of 12. And I've got 0 carbs in my stomach. It's no wonder I'm sick. So we figured that out. That was great. So then, so at this point with this rip, I just maybe I can't race. Maybe the bariatric athletes, they're not common, because I started Googling, looking for bariatric athletes, and I found sleeve, but no Roux-en-Y. And I'm like, maybe this is why. And so at this point, I'd made quite a few friends in the OCR community. Brett Milks, and he had been posting about if you have, he's T-Rex. Yeah, Brett's bomb. So I messaged Brett, and we'd talked very little, and I kind of told him my story and what was going on. And I was like, I feel like I feel like I need to quit. I'm like, I'm depressed. I'm brokenhearted. I'm stuck in bed. I had bypass to get out of bed, and now I'm back in bed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I wanted to give up. And, he gave me lots of words of encouragement, don't give up. I don't really know what you're going through, but I understand the depression, the anxiety. I can understand why you think this way. Just don't give up. You can do it. And he's like, and I will meet you on course, one day. And I was like, all right, we're going to do this. So, and it turned out to be a good thing. I'm pretty sure all of us, whether we were there or not, know what happened in Mill Springs, November 2019. The hypothermia, the freezing rain, the snow.
Oh yeah.
That was to be my first.
I did hear about that one.
It turned out to be a good thing it wasn't my first. So, which goes into part of me is much like quite a few adaptive athletes, but I'm not, an adaptive athlete. But because of bypass, I can't self-regulate my own body temperature. Hypothermia is a constant issue I struggle with on course. I have gotten it multiple times on course. So it was a good thing I couldn't be there. So then we go into 2020, and I'm like, Spartan Sprint, April, Charlotte. So my first son's birthday. No, it's not. COVID.
Yeah. COVID kind of ruined 2020 for a lot of us. I will say with Brett, I finally met Brett in person. We've been friends on Facebook, talked a bunch of times, was in Dallas last year.
Oh, see, I got to meet Brett at my first Spartan.
Yeah, I met him in Dallas in transition. He's a little quicker than me. He was standing there with his medal and his whatever third place or whatever he got that time. And I'm like, I'm in transition. I got to go for the second lap still. So.
Brett is awesome.
He's amazing.
Yeah, I love his girlfriend Amy. She has become such an inspiration to me, and she is so helpful. Like, when I first started getting ready for these things, and I would see Brett, he's pro, and Amy, she's pro, and I'd be like so hesitant to approach, like, I don't want to bother them. And then Amy's like, no, all of the advice, and she was awesome. But I did get to meet Brett at my first Spartan weekend. Like I told Brett, I'll be in Jacksonville with more heart. And he was like, I'm going to meet you. And he met me. And I was like, yes, finally. And he was like, I told you I'd meet you on course and you didn't give up.
Yeah.
Oh, so I didn't. But 2020, I did actually get to do my first race in 2020. It was Savage in Charlotte.
Lucky. I haven't been able to do those yet.
It was something else. Because I was like, well, I could sign up for the little 3-mile blitz. No, I'm gonna do the race. I'm gonna make the big one my first one to make up for all these medical setbacks, and I did. And I got hypothermia. I got full-fledged hypothermia. I also got a concussion half a mile in. I've got a nice picture to show my little unicorn horns. I found out that you can't Hulk smash your way through a wall. Apparently, didn't know that. Now I do. I fell at Willow World, and that cold water was like 20 degrees, and we had like 30 degrees, high winds. As soon as I fell, that was it. Everything. I was just like a blue person. And I finished. Who did the Spartan name? I finished. But I'm in my truck, and I'm like, so cool. Whole hour and 20 minutes home. I call my friend Sue Weiss, another Spartan friend. I'm like, I'm so cool. She's like, are you okay? No. And then right into that is when I met more heart. So I met more heart, like literally as I started my race journey and finally getting out there, they adopted me. Okay. I became friends with Joey through a mutual race acquaintance in January. And Joey would notice all my see photos, and he was like, no, you don't stand up this way. And so we started talking, and I'm like, he's a trainer, and I told him I had bariatric, and he was like, he made some comment where like he knew about how to train bariatrics. I'm like, wait. You know how to train bariatrics? And he's like, yes. I said, wait. Bariatric sleep or ruin why? And he's like, both. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna forever be like the bane of your existence. Please help me. And he's like, well, come to this race. So I go to OCR overload. Got hypothermia, and that's also where we learned that I deal with abdominal nerve pain in my lower left quadrant. It's something from the tummy tuck, and I've battled it through so many races, especially West Virginia. And actually this year, I've had no nerve pain, but I'm also taking all the crazy supplements and all the powders that Joey tells me to take. And I think the newest powder that he suggested, which is a collagen, has hopefully healed what doctors can't. So fingers crossed.
That's good.
We'll find out at Barbarian. So we go in. So we did the OCR overload, and so Joey got to gauge where I was standing with training with racing, which wasn't well. not at all. Been winging it. So then we go into and he's telling me you got to eat. And so we go into the Spartan Super, and I think I got halfway through the course, and I go down. I collapse. It was over. It was done. Brittany didn't eat enough. I couldn't, and I still at this time didn't know exactly what to eat. A couple of things that Joey had told me, but I was like so new to more Hart and Joey, like I didn't want to like blow up their phones and ask a million health questions. So I collapsed at the Super, and Danita, my OCR wifey, and Papa Bear, she's our nurse, and she's very fierce of her people, and she grabs me. She's a nurse. She knows what my problems are, and they get me over to a med jeep, get me over to water station. They know I don't want to quit, and it's liquid IV, water shower, and then they take me off, and I finished the race. I just needed water and food. So I finished the race, and then from there it was racing constantly, with more hard and some solo. I think my fourth race was Bone Frog. I did Tier 1 Honor Challenge with Brett and Amy, Sue, and Anna. We stayed in a little Airbnb. And I'm kind of sad to hear Bone Frog shut down. I wanted to do that again this year. I still like Spartan better.
I've never been able to do it. And that's one of the things that, and a lot of people have heard me say this. I really wanted to get to a bunch of those races. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to living in Texas. If I'm there, it's going to be easier to hit those East Coast races that we don't get out here on the West Coast.
Yeah.
We don't get Bone Frog. We don't have Epic Series. We don't have Savage. We don't have any of that over here on the West Coast. So we get pretty much Spartan, Tough Mudder, and local races, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I want to try some of those others.
And I feel this like my hometown, Memphis. I feel bad for a lot of people in Memphis because I've had some friends come to like, we want to try what you're doing. And I'm like, you do it. And they're like, where's the race in Memphis? Oh, there's not. Yeah. You got to go to Nashville. You only get like one a year, and you got to go to Nashville. Nashville is still like 2 hours from Memphis. And it's just like, and then so you got people all the way in Mississippi. Now, granted, Mississippi now has a saving grace. They have Phoenix. Yeah. That is in Mississippi. It's in, I believe in Meridian. But they don't get Savage, they don't get Tough Mudder, they don't get anything. So it's like there are some states where it's just like, what's bad for you? Because you don't get anything, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's weird.
Georgia and Florida gets everything. Because I'm so tired of driving to Georgia, Florida. They get everything. But yeah, so I did Bone Frog. I got a little hypothermic, not too bad at Bone Frog. It's off again. I don't even think with me in the hypothermia. I did Barbarian last year. That is one that is worth a flight or a drive, is Barbarian, hands down. It'll make you question everything more than I think probably an ultra in Dallas will. Because of if you're not used to a lot of inclines, it's not going to be your friend. But when you swim that waterfall, it will be your friend.
And that's me right now. I'm training a lot of incline because Hawaii is a lot of incline, which a lot of people don't realize. If you do the beast in Hawaii, it's incline, a lot of freaking incline. Like you're climbing with your arms incline, not with your legs.
I want to do that.
Yeah, it's like a full almost 2 miles of like it's insane. The super and the sprint, I'll be honest, in Hawaii are some of the easiest ones I've ever done.
Ooh.
But the beast is probably it is right. Montana and Hawaii are the two hardest beasts I've ever done.
As my OCR hubby would say, it's gonna hurt your feelings good.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like my one friend she is one of my race wives, as I call her. And I have two friends, Christine and Serena. They're my race wives, and it's so funny. I get people ask me all the time. They're like, "Is your wife okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and their wife is too. So I mean, it's fine. I mean, we have fun. They're my race wives, and we just one of them, usually they both don't do the races because one of them has to stay. They have a special needs child, and so one of them stays with the kid, and then I end up being the stand-in for the race. And my wife's like, whatever, we go do stuff with them all the time. So
I was like, so I got my OCR, I got my hubby, and then I got my OCR hubby, and he got nicknamed that just because he's a military medic, and I ain't going to be lying about which one. But he saw me at a lot of races when I first started out, but we never talked. But we met up at Dragon in Raleigh, North Carolina, and he was like, "Okay, I've just got to talk to you because I keep seeing you everywhere I go." I think it's the war paint. People remembering me, and I got injured at Raleigh. I got caught up. There was like some chicken wire and some barbed wire that somehow just got missed when they were clearing out the debris, and I got all tangled up and wrapped up in it, shredded my leg. I got a big scar going down in front of my leg from it. And after that, Tim was like, okay, I'm not just, you're done. You've already done 2 laps. I know you want to do 5, you're done. He pulled me off course and he doctored my leg. After that, he got started looking out for me with races because he knows about the hypothermia and the bypass. And it's not uncommon if he's on course and he's ahead of me, he'll, send me a text like, Brittany, you've got this cold water crossing coming up. But if you go this way, you can avoid the water and stay dry. So you're not having to deal with getting too cold. Like, it's a good friend, looks out for me.
That's good.
Which played a part in West Virginia. West Virginia, I think, is the biggest Spartan weekend for my so far journey, because it had the biggest impact emotionally, spiritually, as well as physically. And that's why I said, remember when I said Pilot Mountain, North Carolina was my first mountain I hiked to train for Spartan. It all came full circle at West Virginia. So West Virginia, I was completely solo without my team. I was scared to death, full of anxiety, texted Joey a couple of times. So I did my beast. Tim was out there on course ahead of me. And I did have to text Joey during the beast because I just felt like I couldn't do it. And I even called my husband. And he's like, my husband's like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I need you to be a Marine and tell me to do it. Suck it up, Buttercup, which he did. And Joey texted me. He was, some advice and some inspiration. So I kept going. The thing about the West Virginia, is most people know, is that incline. And I've never dealt with, I had never done an incline before on course. Now, I mean, yeah, we do like little hills, but I'd done a 5,000 incline going up. So then that starts, dealing with my left nerve pain. So that, as I'm going up, it's getting worse and worse and worse, but I'm going and I'm going. And then the one thing I love about Spartan in the community is they'll look at each other and they'll see you struggle and they go, what do you need? I'm like, and they're like, you got this. And it's just, they're always helping you.
Yep.
And they're supporting you. Like, if you don't want to quit, they're going to make sure you don't quit. If you do want a DNF, they're not going to judge you. They're going to help you get the help you need. Because clearly, if you're a Spartan and you say DNF, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I get to the top and I look out at this scene. And what I saw 2 hours from where I was, Pilot Mountain.
Wow.
The summit of Pilot Mountain. And so to look out at the very top of this big incline I've never done before, and to see, I could see my journey come completely full circle. Because I remember hiking up Pilot Mountain, and yeah, I mean, it was hard at the weight that I was sitting at, but I was thinking, I'm going to do my first Spartan. I'm going to do a Spartan Mountain series, and I'm training. We don't stop. And I remember thinking that the whole way up Pilot Mountain. And so to be 2 hours from that, at the weight I'm at now, and I can walk, even though it does hurt on occasion, but I can walk. And there's still almost a year later, and I can't describe that feeling. I just cried like a baby. And these Spartans were like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, and so I tell them a little, a long story short. And it was just like all of a sudden these Spartans were my family, and they were just like hugging me. And I'm like, the only thing missing is more heart than scars. I miss my family. And there were some of us were out there on team, we were out there. We were just kind of scattered with the wind because it was a solo weekend. And so I did my first beast. I'll tell you how much I hated that beast. It hurt my feelings.
I've always wanted to do West Virginia, but I don't want to go to West Virginia because I'm afraid I'm gonna run into family. My mom's side of her family is all from West Virginia, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to run into that.
Well, you might run into a bear because during the beast, I'm eating my peanut butter and jelly, and I'm with Tom Namming and a few other from 4-0. We're just hanging out. Oh, yeah, Tom's the bomb.
I saw him in San Antonio.
He's everywhere.
He is. I ran into him in San Antonio a couple times. So, and I did those races a couple weeks ago or a month ago now. Yeah,
we were eating, and Tom's like, Brittany, don't move. Wait, move. Why? Black bear. And I'm like, I peek around. This is the black bear. Watching me eat my PB and J. I'm like, no, let's run away. Let's go away. Because I look like food to a black bear. So fine. So I did my beast, and it did come to a point where I had to start skipping obstacles. And I've never been one, really want to skip obstacles. Of course, I mean, I was still I think West Virginia was like OCR number like 17 for me, Spartan beast. And it was my second beast. But, my knees from the osteoarthritis were just going nuts at this point towards the end. And which is also when it's like the one time I had like a OCR dispute with my marital husband because he texts me. He's like, "Where are you at on course?" And I'm like, "I'm coming up on the water creek." And he's like, "That water's going to be too cold for you. Just skip it. It's not going to be a good idea. It's going to hurt your nerve pain too." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. Keep going." And he's like, "You're done with the inclines." Let me tell you how wrong he was, because I got to Baby Murder Hill. And I think at the bottom, when I look up, I think I cussed so bad. My Marine husband, 2 hours away, heard me and blushed. I think everybody heard me. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, cuss. I got up there. So after that, that's kind of where my body and I started to break down. I eat all the things on course that Joey's, recommends and tells me to eat. I drink the things he tells me I can, drink and should have. But it's only going to get bypassed so far.
Yeah.
You need protein. You need a hot meal. And I mean, yeah, I'm eating, Fig Newtons is one of his favorite things to tell me. He's Fig Newtons, PB&J, Stinger gummies. We all know those. Liquid IV and water. And I have to carry a trail bag this whole time. So it's like stuffed. And it's also extra weight. So it's more, calories I'm burning to carry this bag. So I'm done after baby. I'm over this. And so I just have to start skipping obstacles. And that's where I learned the phrase, run your race.
Yep.
I had never heard it till then. And so I get to the finish line. I think the photographer liked me because there's like 20 photos of me at the finish line screaming what I can't scream on here. But it was very obscene. And it probably would put Samuel L. Jackson to shame how much I screamed it as I jumped. It was like the adrenaline. And I was just like, I'm done. And I was eating dinner with some Spartan friends. Like, going out tomorrow. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm limping. My nerve pain's through the roof. My left knee hurts. And I'm just depleted of everything. And I get up Sunday morning. No excuses. What have I not seen Erica Brogan do? Now recently seen One Leg do. What I've seen Beth Shiver do. What have I not seen some of our newer athletes, Nicole. There's another, I have not met Chloe yet. I've unfortunately not been on course with her, but I've seen the post, I've seen what she can do. So how can I sit there and go, well, yes, I have a left nerve and I have an abdominal and I'm bypassed and it's hard for me. How can I say that when I'm part of a team that helps somebody who has beyond defied the odds way more than I ever could? And how can I have an excuse to not get out there and at least try? Yeah. Worst case, I get out there and I try and I DNF. But I tried. And so I did. I looked at my jersey, and it was actually one of the first times I had the jersey from Legion Born. And, I looked at the text that Joey sent me encouraging me to, I can do this, and telling me he believed in me and what makes a Spartan. And then I remembered when I was on course at the Spartan Beast, I had a group of people with me, and they were all thinking about DNFing. And somewhere, I don't know, I just became this really awesome person that says smart things, which is not often because I am the little hobbit and I'm weird. But I gave like this huge motivational speech at one point at the Beast. And I heard cheers all around me, and everybody was like, let's do this. And, we got up and we did it. And I actually later saw them after the finish line and they thanked me. And so I'm sitting here and I'm sitting in this hotel. My OCR hubby's like, are you going to do it? You going to do it? And I'm like, no excuses. I'm like, how dare I wear this uniform and not even, or this jersey, not even try? So I text my husband, I'm going to do this. And so I go out there and I do my super, and it sucks. 3 miles in, I twist my bad knee. A couple miles later, I twist my ankle. And I'm hungry and I'm starving, and it's just the super. And I'm thinking, I still got to sprint. I still got to do the victory lap, and everything hurts. And I do the super. Cool. I'm done. One more to go. And I go and I'm eating, and then it starts raining, which is like my enemy because I get wet, I get cold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I text my husband, and we have very little cell service. And he goes, what are you going to do? And I'm huddled under this tent. And this little girl, bless her heart, she goes, it looks so cold. You're so tiny. Here, have my blanket. Here's your extra blanket around me. And my husband's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, no excuses. I'm going to finish. I said, I did not get this far to not finish. Because that was the other thing. My own gastric bypass doctor said I could never do anything longer than a Spartan sprint. No super, no beast, no ultra, no trifecta weekend. Couldn't do it. It's impossible. He said for gastric bypass, you can't eat enough, you can't drink enough, you can't do it. And he even said never even think about taking podium. I'm like, well, wasn't thinking about it, now I am. So I was like, I'm gonna do this. Now I did do Fayetteville, and I was with the team for the Fayetteville Beast. So to do this trifecta weekend solo, my second one was showing my doctor a big So I get there and I do it, and it sucked. I mean, the Beast sucked, the Super sucked. This sprint was it was bad. I do what obstacles I can at this point. I'm limping through it, and I get to Baby Murder Hill, and I see Oscar Mike. Now I saw Oscar Mike throughout there, and they knew me, and they gave me support, and they helped me out here or there. I think Justin was with me briefly. He kind of ended up with Oscar Mike to finish his race, and I'm climbing up Baby Murder Hill, and it's muddy because it rained, and my left leg shoots out, and my nerve pain had it. It was it. It took over. I couldn't walk. And I scream in pain. And this lady, I'll never forget, her name was Lydia. She's in front of me, and she stops, and she looks, she goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm crying. I'm like, I can't get up there. I can't move. Abdominal nerve pain is through the roof. And she goes, "Do you need med?" I'm like, I'm a mile and a half from the finish line. I will not DNF. She goes, "What do you need?" Up. And she grabs my hand, and she bear crawls on her hands and knees and gets me to the top. And there's another lady, she sees us, and we're kind of like slipping at this point, and she grabs my other hand, and they're just dragging me, and it's all because I cannot use my feet anymore. And she get me up to the top of this hill, and I'm like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And then I'm going, "Thank you." I'm like, I don't feel. And then I don't remember what happened after that. I just know I was under a building next to the water station at the top, and Spartans were pouring water on me. I was told I collapsed. And they were like, "What do you need? Do you need?" "I don't need med. Where is the trail bag?" And they grabbed me my trail bag, and I'm just eating everything I can at this point. And I do not feel good. I have a ringing in my ears. I'm seeing spots. I'm shaking really bad. I am just depleted of everything at this point. And so I get to the water station, more water, we take showers, and then I finish. I finished. And I think I screamed even louder at that finish line than I did at the Beast. And I get in my car, and I'm crying tears of joy and tired and frustration and pain. And I pull out my phone. And the last text I sent to my husband was, "I'm going to do this even though it's raining." And I see his text. He goes, "That's my baby girl. I knew you wouldn't quit. That's my Spartan wife." So it was so great to turn that phone on and see that, because I did do it.
Yeah.
And so I texted him, "I did it. I'll call you when I can think. I'm so gassed at this point. I need a recovery drink. I need food." I don't remember driving much after that. I know I drove to the hotel where I was staying, got my things, and went home. But that driving and getting protein is kind of a blur, literally at that point. But I finished with 5 medals, and I proved my bariatric doctor wrong.
Which is amazing.
No excuses.
No excuses. And I think that's what's amazing. Like with stories like yours, I've talked to a couple other people, and that have had those things where doctors said, "You'll never do this." And it's like, watch me. Because a lot of people know, like, I shattered my foot 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
And was told I would never run again.
Yeah.
And then I did a marathon in June in 4 hours and 39 minutes.
Oh.
I'm like, just wanted to look at the doctor and be like, "You said I'd never do this again, and I just did it." And that's one of those things that, when you're able to just be like, "I did this anyway," and there's been a couple others where, like Hawaii, a lot of people know the first time I went to Hawaii, my foot was broken, and I had it in a boot, and I went for it. I DNF'd the Beast because I just couldn't move. I mean, I was in a full, air cast, and I went for it. Yeah. And then I did.
You're awesome for going for it.
I finished the Super the next day because I had that whole thing after I DNF'd. I was wrecked. I'm like, no, like mentally done. And one of my best friends that I race with, Brandon, looked at me and says, "Well, if you're not racing tomorrow, I'm not racing tomorrow." And I'm like, "Well, that's just rude." Now,
No, I have to.
Now I have to. So, and he got me through it. And it was just one of those great things where when you have that family that's just like, "Yeah, you're doing this." And I've used that exact same trick that Brandon did. I had another friend, Chris, we're in the middle of a beat, her first Beast, and she's like, "I'm done." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess we'll just sit down here and wait for a Spartan to come pick us up." And she's like, "What do you mean us?" And I'm like, "If you're done, I'm done. I told you I was getting you through this race.
Yeah.
If you're done, I'm done." And she's like, "Well, I'm like, so that's your choice. If we're done, we're done. And she's like, I guess we better go. And that's also the same friend that wants to go do the ultra in Hawaii with me now this year. So, but it's so amazing to see people like you who went through so much in life. You could have given up before, but no, you're like, no, I want to do this. You chose to have the surgery. The surgery helped you. And I know a lot of people, like you said, people like, oh, people like you took the easy way out. No, 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 no. There's a lot of things that come from that surgery. A lot of things that people don't, even some of the people who have the surgeries don't know what those side effects are going to be. It's not the easy way out. It's just another avenue.
It is. And that's the thing about if I wasn't a bariatric athlete, it would probably be a little bit easier for me, because as a bariatric, if you're a bariatric person and or bariatric, and you go to the gym, you lose weight, that's what you want to do. And I support that. I don't care what a bariatric person does after they have surgery. What I care about is, do you follow your dreams? I don't care what your dream is. What I care is that you follow it, that you go for it. Because for me, to set Spartan as a dream, I had never in my life set a dream, set a goal. I was a single mom, briefly homeless at one point, had no high school diploma, and was working dead-end jobs. The idea of having a dream at my age was just unheard of. But I had a dream, and I was not going to stop. Bariatrics gave me that. So for me, I don't care what your dream is, bariatric. All I care is that you do it because you can. Because if I can, I know you can. It might take you 5, 6, 7, 10 years to make that dream happen, but the point is that you make it happen. It took me 4.5 years to make my first Spartan happen, but I didn't stop. Did I have help? Oh, yes. Because there were many times, like I said, I had to message Brett back in 2019 when I felt like giving up. And if I had known Joey, then it would have been the same. I would have messaged Joey or anybody with more heart, and then be like, no, 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 no. Or they probably would have dragged me out there anyways. and put me in one of the freedom chairs and dragged me out there. But the point is that you don't stop. But with bariatric, you have a protein shake for breakfast. You have lunch, and then you'll have a snack, and then you'll have dinner, and then you'll have a snack. That's normal. Bariatric athlete. I just ate an hour ago. Crap, I got to eat again. That's how it goes. And with bariatric surgery, they teach you don't do that. So now I'm having to unlearn what I spent 6 months learning for this surgery, because I don't live that life anymore. I am not just a bariatric person. I'm a bariatric athlete. So now I have to eat different than a bariatric person does.
Yeah.
And it is a constant issue. I have recently even opened up to quite a few members on my team. I've been slow to open up about that I have developed an eating disorder. I did not have that before surgery. The eating disorder that I relate to, it's not anorexia, it's not bulimia, it's called EFRID, or basically afraid. You're afraid to eat. It's very common with people who've almost died choking. And I am afraid to eat, because if it's not 120% clean and healthy, I might gain weight. My husband has heard me say a million times, I just splurged and had a PB&J, not on a race day. I'm going to be fat tomorrow. That has become a constant thing in my head. Mm-hmm. And so when I was off course from November to February doing my break for my first season, I was very firm, I will not gain weight. I'm going to stay in the gym. And I got very sick in December. A side effect of bariatrics. Some people get stomach inflammation very easily. I've been hospitalized for it multiple times. It actually caused me to DNF at Asheville last July before I even hit the start line, because I had been in the hospital 3 days prior. And when you have stomach inflammation, bariatrics, you're on a clear liquid diet for 1 week. And I tried to go race, and no, I couldn't even get to the start line. So Joey's like, Brittany, nope, I love you. I know you want to be here. It's not healthy for you. You've got to go home and rest. So I did. And so with that, I get stomach inflammation easily. Joey thinks he found the right supplement. We went back and forth because I got it really bad in December when I was back home visiting family. And I messaged Joey like in tears, like, Joey, I'm in so much pain. I have stomach inflammation. I'm throwing up white foam again. Like, I just don't know what to do. I'm going to a vitamin shop tomorrow. Can you help me out? So he's like, yeah. So I go and I send him a picture of what's called bromelain. And he goes, get it. That is amazing. Get it, get it, get it. And I did. And I've had no stomach inflammation since then. Yes. And so, but that is part, like you were saying with bariatrics, some things you won't know will happen until it happens. We found the biggest culprit for my inflammation is milk. I can't have that protein shake every day now, which has become an issue with my weight. So from having stomach inflammation in December, COVID in January, losing 32 grams of protein in the morning, my weight started to go down. And then I started to see the scale. I weigh in February, weighed 103. That was my lowest. And that number stuck in my head. I'm like, my abs look great. My muscles look great. I'm so tiny. And that's when the eating disorder kicked in. It's the second time I've had an eating disorder issue. The first time was last January when Joey first met me, and I was getting about close to 103. And so when I did the 15K Tough Mudder this past weekend, everybody noticed I was off. I was falling a lot. And so questions were raised, and I finally started saying, I just don't think I'm eating enough. So since then, I've been eating every hour on the hour. I have some teammates who do not mind and know that I need it in my head to go, hey, I just had, half a burger, because it keeps me in check, because they know that if they don't get that text, I'm not eating enough.
Yeah.
And it's like partly I'm ashamed to admit I have this problem, but at the same time, I'm not, because you shouldn't judge. You should never judge. And this could help somebody else. So if I want up muscles, which I do, I am known for my strength. I love men's lifts. I want to lift the men's Atlas. I want to lift the men's Hercules hoist. I love the stronger, the better. I love being ripped. Being ripped, I got to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And since I've been eating, I've noticed my muscles are getting back bigger. And I'm like, yes, let's keep eating. So that has been a big help, but it's a part of bariatrics that I would have never thought I had an eating disorder. If I would have had an eating disorder, it should have happened when I weighed over 200 pounds, but I never had one then. But now I do. Another thing that came out of bariatrics. So last year was, phenomenal for my first race season.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to wonder how come so many times I had to fight back the urge to commit suicide. But I developed suicide ideation. Every race, I would come home, and after a couple of days, there were a few members on my team who would know that I'm in a bad place when they got this text. Big hugs. It means I don't want to talk about it, but I don't want to be alone right now either.
Yeah.
There was a night last year where I called Joey in tears, and he had just driven 10 hours to a race. He stayed on the phone with me, and I was on the ledge, and it was bad. And I needed help to get off the ledge, because I am a mother, and I'm a wife, and I am a friend. I cannot do that.
No.
He taught me off the ledge. And so that got me thinking, because I fought that urge multiple times last year. Why? I have everything I've tried to have, and my dreams are coming true. Why? And so I started researching bariatric suicide. A 5-year marker is where it goes from a 10% to 30%. And they don't know why. And I hope that last year was my year early. But you know what? If I get the urge this year, it's okay. I got a team, I got a husband, and I will live to see another day. But
a lot of friends that you can message. I mean,
oh yes.
Yeah.
But it's something that I want awareness on, because so many people, think you have bariatric surgery, your life is great, everything's great, you've lost weight, you look great. If you have cosmetic surgery, you look even better. And that might be what they see, but what they don't see is somebody in the bathroom crying, sending out texts, and we don't know why. And there's multiple theories. The biggest thing that I think it is it's down to nutrition, not eating enough.
I can see that.
If you're not getting enough protein or carbs or potassium or magnesium, vitamin D, if your vitamin D starts to slip, that could be corrected. This is going off what I was told by bariatric doctors. If your vitamin D is too low, it can cause severe depression issues.
Mm-hmm.
You can go into a deficiency.
Which honestly, that is very true. I mean, living here in Washington, we hear about that all constantly because we don't get sun. So most of the time we have a lot of, when people are having mental stuff, like my wife, I try and get her to take vitamin D constantly because she has big problems during the bad weather times of the year, which in Washington is for 9 months of the year.
Yeah.
So that's why one of the big reasons I'm on board with wanting to leave Washington for the first time ever is because I know for her, getting somewhere where there's more sun is going to be better for her mental health.
Oh, most definitely.
I could see the vitamin D being a thing. It's scary to have that, and you don't think about, like I said, there's a lot of things that come with this that you don't think about, and I've seen, I have another friend who lived in Portland who had, and I don't know, I think she may have had the sleeve, I don't know, but she had similar surgery years ago and lost a lot of weight. She was big, couldn't do a lot of things, and now she's actually a coach.
Oh,
in Oregon. So, and I mean, it's great to see her be able to do all that stuff. And it's amazing to see someone take that step, because like I said, there's such a stigma around it that if you go have this surgery, you're taking the easy way out. It's like, no, you're taking control of your life.
yes. And your life is forever changed, especially
Yeah.
all the way down to how you eat, which to me is could be another reason why the suicide rate might hit at that 5 years. It's like, I've been having this eating disorder and I'm sitting here and I'm eating every hour on the hour, and I actually had like a little, like a moment of like freak out today where I felt like almost quitting racing, even though I love it. I'm like, this is the rest of my life.
Mhm.
As a bariatric athlete, I have to eat every hour on the hour. I have to be careful with what I eat. Can I splurge? Yes, I can, and I do. Can I have junk food? Yes, I can, and I do. Yeah, it's my weekend splurge. French fries is my go-to. I love my French fries. It's what I know. I want a burger and fries after every race.
Yeah.
But it's also like that thing is like, this is the rest of my life. 10
Yeah.
years, 20 years, 30 years. And even if you're not an athlete, you're still going to sit at a kitchen table at some point with some people, and your portion's going to be this big and their portions are whatever. And you're just like, well, this sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just here, and it's that click. And then you could also be, because you have family going, you took the easy way out. Oh, it must be nice being so skinny. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, it must be nice to eat whatever you want and be so skinny. And I'm like, oh, you have no idea.
Yeah.
It must be nice to live in wherever it is you live, because it is not easy. I pay for this
No.
every single time. And bariatrics, they can develop food allergies after surgery. I did. I cannot have casein within a 20-mile radius of me. Casein's in pretty much like all your milk.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
a problem for surgery. And so it's just so much awareness, I think, and like I said, the stigmata that should be raised on it, that's just not. And the more I've raced, the more I've tried to find Ruin Y, the more I've tried to find, more sleeves. And me and the sleeve, I call them my sleevers, we've talked on course. It's just like we talk about the same thing, the stigmata,
Mhm.
the hate, because they said that they've even had Spartan racers, here that they've had sleeve, and they're like, oh, you took the easy way out. How dare you be a Spartan on this course, call yourself a Spartan, And then I'm like, oh, you have no idea what I go through.
No.
It's actually harder for me than it is for you, because you can eat, I can't.
No.
And yeah.
It's not understanding. And that's one of the things, like, I think it's amazing too, that you're trying to raise that awareness. Everyone has this belief that you have the surgery and you walk out and everything's fixed. And it's not. There's so many things that you have to change your lifestyle. You have to change the way you eat. Like you said, you have these smaller portions and you have to eat every hour. You have to think about it. You have to plan it, because if you don't eat every hour, now you don't have enough fuel. Now you're going to pass out. Now you're going to have other issues. And they don't, I don't think they understand it. I mean, they just don't they think, like I said, that you have the surgery and it's this magic fix and bam, all of a sudden you're just good. Like you went to the genie and said, make me skinny. And
Yeah.
that's not what happens.
No, and in reality, you're just finished your Spartan Beast, and what do you want? You want your recovery drink, whether it's a Fit Aid, some people do the beer. Guess what? You're bariatric. You get water. We can't have carbonation. A sleeve can. They shouldn't. I ain't gonna judge. You do you. You know you. You know your body. Sleeve can tolerate more carbonation, but Ruin Y, we can't have any. And I'm like, bye bye, Fit Aid. You suck. Bye bye, free beer. You suck. All you people, you suck. And I mean, I'm joking when I say it, but I'm over here in my hot water, like, it's awesome. And it's not the easy way out. Now, some people even accuse me of taking the easy way out, having that excess skin removed. And I'm like, yeah, you know what I get for it? A lifetime of abdominal nerve pain, although hopefully not now, but in theory, a lifetime of abdominal nerve pain to remove that skin. So was it the easy way out? No, it really, really was not. I have some excess skin here and there, and I have thought about getting surgery done on it. And then I think about that nerve pain. I'm like, yeah, I just don't think I want to. Right? I cannot deal with any more nerve pain. My fall at Tough Mudder did kind of trigger it a little bit. I'll know when I do Barbarian with my team, if the nerve pain, if Joey's magical collagen helped the nerve, because it's the forward heels of apocalypse. So
yeah,
we'll find out then, because the incline will be my big kicker.
I could see that. That's going to be an interesting one. So, I mean, it's amazing to see your progression and everything else. I mean, it's amazing.
Thank you.
I tell everyone, I lost weight but it's tough. I mean, even for me, I mean, it's one of those things, I lost it, but I've gained a bunch back, and it's hard to fight it back. And even with, you know, having the surgery, you can still gain the weight back if you don't do the work. I have my wife's uncle had the surgery, dropped a whole bunch of weight, got all skinny, didn't do anything with it, and now he's almost back. He almost back to where he was.
There is a thing you can do for that to help. Pouch resets, 5-day pouch reset. All I always do is Google 5-day pouch reset, and it'll shrink his stomach back down to what it was. I run a bariatric support group. It's currently under construction because it's somehow I had like a million spammers get in, and I'm trying to get all my spammers out. But the pouch reset is you can shrink your stomach back down, which will help you get back on track to lose the weight again.
But like I said, though, I mean, it's one of those things. If you don't put in the work, just like with anything, you still have to, even after having it, it's a help. It's something to get you started. But once again, it's not an easy way out. You made a decision to fix your life. You made the best decision for you. It's not taking an easy way out. It's making the best decision for you. And I really hate when people suddenly take that, oh, no one's living your life. No one's in your shoes. No one was where you were at. Nobody had the life that you did to make that choice. You made the best choice for you. And that's what's amazing.
And the one I get asked this question a lot, and it's a question I ask myself every day. If I knew what I knew now about health and nutrition, if I had found OCR and More Heart Than Scars and Joey and his constant, like wealth of information in his brain about health and nutrition,
he's amazing.
Would I have needed gastric bypass? I don't know. But I can tell you, as a person who couldn't walk to do cardio to help me lose weight, a part of me doesn't think I would have been able to. But I wish I could have tried with the info I knew now.
Yeah. But the other thing to think about too, would you have ever met Joey? Would you have ever met any of these people? Would have ever happened?
Exactly.
If you didn't have the gastric bypass, because you never would have been able to get off the couch. Like you said, walking an hour shopping for groceries. And later that evening, because of that, you couldn't walk to the bathroom. You made the best decision for you that made sense for you.
Yep. And I do not have regrets on it. I don't. There are times where I'm like, maybe I wish I could have done it differently because of the struggles I face on course. But then, like my husband just said the same thing. He said before, but you wouldn't be on course if you didn't have gastric bypass. He was like, so I mean, it's like it's a catch-22. He's like, so don't think like that. He's like, you made the best choice. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I know. This is the advice I give people in my own support group. You made the choice for you.
You did. You made the best choice for you. And the thing that now is that choice is done. It's over with. You have the knowledge that you have now. How do you continue to move forward?
Exactly. And that's part of racing. I think racing helps me stay healthy. It helps me stay on my game. I think that if I were to quit racing, then I would slide back into that eating disorder because I'd be so afraid to gain weight that I would go the opposite way, start starving myself. Whereas I love building muscle. I love powerlifting just as much as I love racing. And if I quit racing, I'll lose any and all reason I feel I have to lift weights. Because that was the whole thing with lifting weights, is being so short. I'm 4'10". Let me tell you, doing monkey bars at 4'10" or twister or beater, I rely on my back and my triceps to get me through those, and my caps to make up for that wingspan. And if I'm not racing, I don't have a reason to be, physically strong. I don't have a reason to keep lifting that barbell. So then I'm going to stop wanting to eat to do it. So, I mean, racing gave me my life back in more ways than I think I could ever cover. Gastric bypass gave me my identity back from so many things, and Spartan races gave me my identity back from a million times more. But Spartan racing also, can't give me the physical confidence that I do not have. I have no confidence whatsoever. I have body dysmorphia, and I'm working on it. But what it does give me is mental confidence, inner confidence through the roof, to the point to where I bullied a lawyer not that long ago, actually yesterday, won a case, and I'm not even a lawyer. And the judge sided with me because he tried to silence a Spartan woman, and it didn't go well. And so now we won the case.
That's awesome.
And that's what Spartan has done, and that's what bariatrics has done.
Yeah. And it's one of those, that body dysmorphia is horrible. I mean, it's one of the things when I lost the weight, I kept telling everyone I'm fat. I'm still fat. And my wife's looking at me going, you've gone from 290 to 180.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I'm still fat. And then she finally did it was she basically took 2 pictures, one of me, you know, at like the Spartan race I did before I started losing the weight, and then one of me like then. And she's like, look at these side by side. And I'm like, oh, damn. Because every time
That's
I look
me.
in like every time I look in the mirror, I still see, and even now, I still see the 290-pound fat dude standing there. You
That's
know,
what I
not
see.
not the
But
skinny guy.
not you, but
Yes, I know what you mean. That you see you in that body dysmorphia is tough, and so then all of a sudden when you go to eat, you know, I want to beat myself up every time I break down and have a sugar because I just want that sugar, and I beat myself up for it, even in a race where I know I want that sugar because I need that little bit of boost.
yeah.
And it's tough. And I mean, I applaud everything you've done. I mean,
Thank you.
you took the choice for you, and it's like one of my good friends, Jesse, always says, always forward.
Yes. And it's not just me. It's like I applaud you to lose that weight and keep going and to do races before losing the weight. That is, to me, that is insane. 'Cause, like, I would have never thought to race overweight. And we had a new member of our team. She's struggling to scale. And I saw her at the 15K and I was with her and I grabbed her towards the end. I'm like, I just want to hug you. And she's like, why? And I hugged her and I said, because I wish I could have had the courage that you have. I would have never felt brave or confident enough to set foot on course overweight or battling the scale. And to me, anybody who sets foot on course while they're battling that scale, they might look at me or anybody, go, oh, they're in shape and I'm not, and I'm not going to do. But you know what? The fact that you're out there to me says more than the person who is ripped with a 6-pack and can deadlift 250, 300 pounds. I don't care. You being there says more to me than them being there. I'm not diminishing or downplaying their achievements whatsoever, but because I've been there, there's a special place in my heart.
Yeah. See,
and so
I
it's
have
like,
the same thought as you because I've been there and I have it. And for me, it was one of those, I started before I got big.
yeah.
So it was kind of one of those things because of like my foot injury and a couple other things, I gained a bunch of weight, but I'd already started doing the Spartans. So
Yeah.
I had that, I had my, it wasn't Joey and them, but I had my Joey and them. It was just different people who were like,
Yeah.
come on, you can still do this, and kept me going until I finally hit that point where, I mean, the last race before I decided to finally just do something to lose the weight, I dislocated my shoulder 4 times because of hanging obstacles. I was so big that my shoulder just couldn't even hold my own weight.
Yeah.
And I dislocated my shoulder 4 times.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
But
I hate that for you.
But I kept doing it, and it was my,
Yeah.
I did it to myself, and that's one thing. I let my injury choose my life. And finally, at that point, it was one of those, I had to have that heart to heart where I hit a really bad mental place. Was either I'm quitting and I'm done, or I can't do these races anymore, or I have to do something.
Yeah.
And COVID hit and everything shut down anyway.
Yeah.
And then I just started running on my own, doing my own thing. Dawn with Boggs was with me in the beginning with some of it.
Yeah.
And then just started running by myself, just out doing this. And the next thing I know, I'm running every day. And I'm just running constantly. And now, you know, and then all of a sudden I dropped all the weight, and then Spartan came back and I'm like, I'm going to run a competitive race. And everyone's looking at me like, what? And then they see me and they're like, oh, I get it. I see it now. There's, you know, one of my favorite Spartan pictures is one on me on the monkey bars. And I've got, I think it might have I have 2 of them. One of them I'm wearing the More Heart Than Scars jersey. The other I'm wearing BeastNet. And you can see like just skinny. And it's like, wow. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been on both. And like I said, now I've gained some back, but a lot of it too is training for triathlons now. So it's a lot more swimming. So I'm gaining a bunch of muscle in my arms and chest. And, you know, so it's kind of I'm not eating quite right for what I'm doing. And I'm trying to figure that out. But
I have my moments where I'm like, I know this week I've been kind of up and down with my eating. Like, I'm eating a lot, but sometimes it's like, I really did not need to have that cookie. We're not going to talk about that cookie. That cookie was so good. It was so worth it because I love a snickerdoodles. But it's also, for me, it's least moderation. And it's
Yep.
something I talk about in my bariatric support group. No food shaming. No food
No.
Nazis are allowed in my support group. I founded my support group before I even had surgery because somebody was getting bullied in another group. And so I'm very big on positivity and no body shaming. We talk about eating, of course, obviously a lot, but the moderation, like, bariatric surgery, you're not supposed to ever indulge. It's a sin, it's bad, fire and brimstone, you're going to bariatric hell. And I'm like, you know what? The weekend. You want to have a donut? Know your body. I just hope it don't. I mean, I do hope it doesn't make you sick, because that can make a bariatric person sick, but you want to splurge. It's all, to me, it's just moderation. And for some people, they need that splurge.
Yeah.
For me, if I indulge too much, I will gain weight, because bariatric surgery did not cure my sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And I got a nasty one, a nasty sweet one, but a nasty one.
See, I found what cured my sweet tooth. I mean, I still have one big time.
Yeah.
But what kind of curbs mine? Pineapple.
I'm allergic to all citrus.
I'm sorry. My wife has that problem too. But yeah, she can't get anything.
So I'm not alone in that weird allergy? Yes.
No. So every once in a while, she just has to, and she'll eat like something. And she's like, I have a canker. I'm like, what'd you eat? She's like, I had pineapple. I'm like, yeah. But I'll get pineapple by like the pound, basically.
Yeah.
That's my snack. And everyone's like, why? And I'm like, because it's still, I mean, there's sugar, it's sweet, but it's not a Snickers bar.
Yeah, exactly. My thing is plums, which are not always in season. Plum is candy for me.
One problem I have with plums is they do what they're supposed to, and they make things work out too well sometimes. So
yeah,
but I haven't tried it now that I'm smaller. Now that I'm smaller, I found that I don't have that problem as much anymore, where I eat certain things and it's like all of a sudden the gates just open, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
but
I don't think plums affect me that way. Each to their own, different people, but I don't know. It's just plums and strawberries and grapes and a couple of apples, because I have too many food allergies.
Yeah.
It was like, well, try banana. I'm allergic. Try an orange. I'm allergic. Try this. I'm allergic. What can you have? Nothing.
Yeah, it's got to be tough to get through all that. But we should probably wrap this up. Dawn gets mad at me when I go over an hour, and I'm pretty sure we've done that already. So
yeah, my first podcast, they did 2 hours, but it was audio. She got it down to 47 minutes editing.
Yeah, we can do another one and get more time.
Oh,
so
no,
it's amazing
fine.
talking to you. I mean, it's one of those things. No, I mean, I would definitely want to talk to you again, because I really like getting that. Getting the knowledge out there that people don't have, and the awareness of, bypass.
Well, I just want bariatrics to understand
yes,
that if you can do this too. I don't know how many bariatric people out there might have the doctor I did, or when someone who goes, you can do a sprint. I mean, it's good in a way that he's saying, yes, you can do this, but you're also saying what I can't do.
Yeah.
And I don't tell somebody what they can't do, because the wrong person is going to think, well, shit, or sorry, oh, I can't. Dang, okay. I lost the bet. I cussed. There was a bet going that I couldn't go a whole time without cussing. So, but it'll stick in their heads that they can't do it, so they won't even try. A person like me who's always been told no, that just didn't sit well. I made a choice, and after bariatric surgery, I was going to do my Spartan. I had to earn my Spartan. The thing I had to do before I did my first Spartan was get my high school diploma, and I did. I would not allow myself to set foot on Spartan course till I had that high school diploma.
That's awesome.
And I did that. And so it does make me slightly sad to not find many ruined Y out there, because I fear that they think they can't do it. They don't know how to eat.
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you, I still don't know completely how to eat, because I message Joey all the time. Can I eat this? Can I eat that? I'm always, but you can still come to me and I can share what he has taught me. I can share with you as I do my bariatric support group. I don't like them being told, or me or anybody, you can't do something because you're missing half your stomach, or you had a sleeve fitting around your stomach, because we can't. Why can't we? How many times have we seen Oscar Mike, Maura Hart, or Operation Enduring Warrior with an adaptive athlete on course who's defied the odds way more than we ever could, who've been told we'll never walk again? But yet we see adaptive athletes starting to walk on course when they were told they couldn't. So that all boils into it. And I just want that out there. But I also want bariatrics to know that if you are in a bad place, And you don't have a reason to wake up tomorrow. I promise you do. There's a suicide hotline. It is everywhere. And that, I think, awareness needs to be on, because when I had bariatric surgery, they prepared me for everything. Didn't warn me about the suicidal ideation, and I wish they had.
Wow. Yeah, and that's one of those things, and it's always frustrating how they point out the things you can't do, but don't prepare you for the things that they know are going to happen. I mean, it's one of those things, like you said, when you researched it, I mean, that 5-year mark goes from 10% to 30% for people that, are taking their own lives and everything else. And that's sad to know that the doctors didn't warn you about that, hey, oh, by the way, there is a jump at the 5-year mark, maybe, setting up a support group like you have, or pushing, telling you that there's a support group, or helping you do whatever. They're just like, oh yeah, hopefully they don't do it, and they never say anything to you. I mean, too many people die from suicide every year, and when there's something like that they know that a certain group of people are more likely to at a certain point, maybe they should do something about it. Maybe they should talk about it. And I mean, I've lost too many friends to suicide.
Yeah.
And I've been there. I've been there. I've been, some people know it. Some people probably don't know how recent it's been, but I've been on that ledge, and I'm unfortunately not one of those people that's really good at talking about it when it happens. So I kind of do my own thing. But a lot of people that know me well enough, Boggs, those guys, they know me well enough that if all of a sudden I start, shrinking back and stop talking, all of a sudden my Facebook posts disappear. There's not as many, you don't see me as much on Facebook or social media and everything else. That means I'm hitting a dark place, and we all have those dark places, and we all need that support. So,
We do.
you know,
I
something
I
like you, if you need help, I'm always here, just so you know.
thank you. I do appreciate that. I do wish they had warned me, because my bariatric doctor had, knew all my medical health, mental and physical, and knew that I'm a suicide survivor.
Mhm.
The one scar I will not tattoo over. And yet there was no warning. Yeah, they'll warn you about alcohol and all this and all that. If you've been an alcoholic or a struggling alcoholic, or you had an eating disorder, they go through all the things that bypass will make that worse.
Yeah.
But they don't talk about how to make this worse. And my personal opinion, it boils down to the medication. I am officially off of every single bariatric prescription that I was told I would never be off of. And I've not had, the last one's been 3 months, because I now take bromelain. And so I'm off the last prescription pill. They said it would never happen. Bariatrics could never go without those pills. And yet I am.
And that's amazing. And there is a lot of that where it comes into, because I've had issues in the past where I've had to take medication for, mental issues, and I'm not on any. I'm not on any medications. I've dropped them all. I've changed my diet, everything else, changed my, and that worked for me. Does it work for everyone? No.
No.
There are people out there that do need, the
Yes.
medication, stuff like that. So don't think that I'm going, oh, quit all
No.
your medicines and do exercise. No. It's worked for me. I found ways for it to work for me, but I still have those down deep dark moments where, it's not healthy. It's not good. I mean,
No.
it's kind of those that, we all have them.
It's like, I don't like, anxiety medicine for me. I don't like antidepressants for me. I do take an anxiety medicine to go to sleep. My doctor's like, it's the worst anxiety pill known to man. All it does is go make you go to bed. And I'm like, give me, because I do deal with a lot of nightmares and night terrors from PTSD. But that's just me. Jane down the road might really need that prescription to get her through a dark night. So no, I don't judge or hate against anybody who takes it. I personally just don't want to.
Yeah. And that's it. That's us personally. I mean, and I think that's the hardest thing sometimes when you tell someone that, like, hey, I've decided to, oh, so you're going to judge me. No. I'm not going to judge you. We're all different. We're all different people. We all have different ways of doing things. It's like, you had the surgery.
Yeah.
I didn't feel I was big enough that I needed it, but I do know plenty of people that have, and it's helped them immensely, because like you said, you've met Joey, you've done all those things. And like you said, would you have done that without the surgery? The surgery got you off the couch and got you moving. Is there side effects that probably aren't amazing? Yes. We've talked about those that do the thing, but it got you where you are. I mean, it helped you. And that's the way to remember it. It's like, and you can't go change that now. So now it's moving forward. How do you make yourself better? And that's what's amazing, is you keep thinking and keep going. You're never settled.
Yeah.
And that's what's amazing while I'm talking to you. There's always, you talk about what you've gone through and what you've done, but you're also immediately like, and this is where I'm going next. And this is what I'm doing next. And there's constant, growth.
I try.
Amazing.
I just, and because it's my son, and my son has battled his own demons.
Mhm.
I don't, I know we're on time, but and talk a lot about my son. I've detoxed my own son at 10 years old off medicine. The doctors had overdosed my son at 10 on a lot of things. He had a psychotic breakdown and he was trying to commit suicide at 10. So I detoxed my own child, and that is the hard. No parent should have to detox their child, especially that young, but ever. And he's good now. Drives me nuts, back talks me, won't clean his room, won't take a shower. But I feel I have an example to set for him.
Yeah.
If mom quits going, then what's that say?
Yeah.
And that's not acceptable. I have 2 stepkids, same thing. What if I quit? And there have been times where, my journey has inspired my own husband to get help about his own military PTSD. And that alone is amazing. Because been married to him 2 years. We've been together 8. And it wasn't until last fall that he really clued me in he had PTSD. And, it was the racing.
No.
One day we'll get him out there. It won't be a Spartan. He's not a Spartan. Well, there's too much military presence for him.
Yeah.
So, maybe like a rugged maniac, tough mudder, savage, something like that would be easier. We'll get him out there one day and get him
nice. That'll be good. All right. Well, I should let you go. Definitely, I'm going to talk to Boggs, and we're going to have to do another one. I think we need to get back on here and talk. We kind of got into it at the end there about the mental health and all that stuff and helping each other. I think we should do another one and talk more about the mental health. So me and Boggs have talked about I want more mental health on here. I want to talk about more mental health because we don't get enough of it.
No, we don't. And it's like you had talked about body dysmorphia. You're, I think, probably the first person who nailed what I see every day in the mirror. I have recently started like posting pictures on Instagram of me in like a crop tank top and low rider jeans, and I'm showing off my stomach, and it's like I'm like, yeah. But on the other hand, I'm like, nope, cover up, because I'm still big. It's still in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to close out and maybe go into another segment about mental health. It's what I told the person in the bariatric podcast I did with body dysmorphia. You can have all the plastic surgery in the world to fix all the excess skin and tuck everything up. And you can lift all the weights and you've built this beautiful sculpted body. But guess what? With body dysmorphia, it's never enough.
Yeah, it's not.
It won't erase it.
That's why you see all these people that have, the massive overly done, surgeries where they have all of a sudden you're looking like, whoa, you've gone too far. Because even though no matter what they do, they still don't see perfection in the mirror. And I hate to say it, I don't think I ever will.
I don't either.
But we've got to become comfortable with who we are. And that's the hardest thing because, and partly I think for me, it's one of those, I was skinny in high school.
Yeah.
I graduated high school 140 pounds, but I was not just skinny. My legs were huge because I rode bikes constantly. I was always outside. I had an 8-pack. I was like, jacked, but then I stopped doing everything and I got big. And then now it's, I can't stop seeing what I let myself become.
Yeah.
And not see what I've been able to do to make myself better. And that's the hardest part. But if we get into this, we're going to be here forever, and Dawn's going to really yell at me. So,
well, you can always message me because I am here for you too.
Oh yeah, and I definitely want to do another one with you because I feel like being able to talk about the mental side of this and everything else, and also getting the word out there about people how to get through after having the surgery, after making that decision, and all the things that come with it that they don't tell you about in the hospital.
It's like, what do you do now?
So I'd definitely like to get more on that. So to help the people out there that, are going through that.
All right, thank you. It's been fun. And I do look forward to talking with you again.
All right. Thank you. And we will talk again soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.